pride, passion, and pageantry of college football lives here. This is the Paul Finebaum Show, Hour 1 podcast.
This might be college football heaven.
The middle of the week has arrived. We cannot wait to get started, and we have a heavyweight tilt 1 hour away. Forget Ali Frazier, Buster Douglas, Tyson, whatever you want to put in there. We've got it beaten tonight. You'll hear about that in just a minute. Let's get to some headlines as we start rolling here on a Wednesday. What about this last night? Everybody was holding their breath. Will the 1 versus 2 matchup hold up? Auburn did its part easily on the road. Alabama did its part even easier on the road, a 23-point win in Austin. So what do we have? We have a 1 versus 2 matchup in the most football state in the entire country. This is basketball. Bruce Pearl had this to say.
It's a long season. It's a grind, and I think that we've lost a little bit of that edge. We got to try to get that edge back a little bit. I even had some. Well, I'm glad we got that loss out of the way now. Like, what are you talking about? Have you seen our schedule? Like, believe me, tonight, you guys wouldn't have been shocked if we lost tonight, would you have? No, that's a good team, and the season it is a grind. It's a grind, and it's just about taking it one game at a time. So far, this team has done a pretty good job of taking it one at a time, and we've learned a lot from our wins. So Florida beat us because they were better.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, I can't imagine anybody's got a tougher 7-game stretch in the year. I mean, we get Auburn twice, got to go to Tennessee, Florida at home. Those guys are all in the top 5. You know, we get Mississippi State and Kentucky for the lower-ranked ones. I mean, it's going to be a brutal schedule, but we had a tough non-conference schedule. I thought our guys are prepared. We're getting healthy, so we're looking forward to it.
Breaking news, SEC is tough. Breaking news, water is wet. Meanwhile, in Kentucky last night, how about this? Mark Pope, first season, what did he do? He swept Tennessee. Brilliant performance by the Cats. Some news from Washington. I guess your yawn out of the way. The Education Department rescinds Biden memo that threatened to upend college NIL. Is there anything Biden did that is still left standing 3 weeks later? No. Just thought I'd see if I could get that question answered. Meanwhile, Stewart Mandel is back. Football season is over. That doesn't mean Stewart Mandel disappears. He's got the new CFP Tier 1. Who do you think's in there? I bet you could guess. How about the second tier? Well, why don't we just quit asking questions of the audience and bring in Stewart Mandel for his first appearance in a while. Good afternoon, Stewart. Thank you very, very much. We're also in your debt for writing about college football because we never want to let it go. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Paul. I'm surprised you're having me on during basketball season since that is, the SEC sport now.
Well, the commissioner has asked us to try to talk about the lesser sports in the SEC, so we're talking about college football.
Yeah, of course. Happy to help. This story came from a mailbag question I got asking me to rank not which are the best programs, in terms of tiers, but fan expectation or school expectation in this new 12-team playoff where it's going to be hard to win national titles regularly. And it's going to be what defines success for your school? Is it just making the CFP? Is it you have to get in there and play for the national championship? Is it, hey, we're not on that level, but we expect to make it once every few years? So that's the tiers that they had me divided into.
So let's start. I'm pretty obvious. The first tier, Ohio State, Georgia, and Alabama. I'm not sure. Maybe a couple of years ago, Clemson would have been in there, but really, anybody else even close?
I thought about Texas. Is Texas going to make,
they've been there
I don't
twice.
think they're quite there yet after these 2 semifinal trips, but you could see if this continues that they might start expecting that losing in the semis would be a disappointment. I don't think we're there yet, but a great example of this is Georgia this year. They won 11 games. They won the SEC championship, and the season's considered a disappointment because they didn't even win a game in the playoff.
No, it was a disappointment. Just ask Georgia fans. So, Stewart, second tier, a little bit easier to come up with. You mentioned Texas. You have LSU, Michigan, Penn State, Oregon. Oregon's been there a couple of times as well. Notre Dame, Florida State. So that's an interesting, because you have some schools in there that look normal and natural, but quite frankly, they haven't really been close in a while. So give us your rationale on Tier 2.
So Tier 2 is programs that expect to be in the CFP on a near yearly basis. And you're right, USC hasn't even made the playoff once. Florida, would be a program in that definition. Miami hasn't come close in 20 years. It came close this year, I should say, but, never came close to the 14 playoff. But, yeah, these are proud schools with national championship history. And I don't think, for instance, if Billy Napier gets it going there, I don't think they will then consider it a success if he makes the playoff once every 5 years. I mean, it's still Florida. It's still the program of Steve Spurrier and Urban Meyer. Florida fans, understandably, think they should be able to do what Georgia's doing right now.
Tier 3, you have every couple of years, and TCU's in there. I think they've used up their allotment forever. A&M, I'm so curious about A&M, because how many times have we all bought into Texas A&M, especially under Jimbo Fisher? Even this year under Mike Elko, they seem to be on the cusp and then completely imploded down the stretch.
I feel like the expectation level at A&M is always one rung above reality. Going back to the Jimbo Fisher national championship plaque. So in this tier, this would mean if Mike Elko can get them to the playoff every 3 to 5 years, is that considered success? I think it is, because they haven't done it yet. So to get in there would be such a big deal for this program that has a rabid fan base, a huge stadium, all the money in the world, but just hasn't reached the mountaintop anytime recently.
Stewart, Ole Miss is in there, and I saw something earlier. In the last 4 years, Ole Miss is the third winningest program in the SEC, but you have to wonder about their window. It seemed like this most recent year was their best shot. What are your thoughts on the future under Lane Kiffin?
It was such a missed opportunity this past season to have a quarterback like Jackson Dart, to have gotten so many big time transfers that turned their defense into a juggernaut, and they still lost 3 games. But I think if you go back to Hugh Freeze and the 2 really good seasons he had there, and then what Lane Kiffin's done, it's raised the expectation level at Ole Miss. They're not going to be, they've never made the SEC championship game, but nor do I think they would just consider it, the playoffs totally out of reach. So this tier is every 3 to 5 years. I think Ole Miss can do that. We will see if, they've had just a tremendously run collective that's done such a good job raising money, despite them not considered to be obviously in Alabama or Georgia. But, can they keep that up? Or was this like you said, a moment in time that's not going to come back? But I do think that expectation level is reasonable.
With Stewart Mandel. Stewart, let's look ahead to 25. And, we have that just incredible game with Ohio State in Texas. I mean, I really don't remember. It's a possibility of a 1-versus-2 game. I realize we're both kind of thinking about this as we talk, but how big do you think this game is going to be?
Oh, it's such a big game, Paul, because, of course, Ohio State's coming off the national championship. And then on top of that, this is Arch Manning's, the first game of the official Arch Manning era is going to be a possible 1-versus-2 game in Columbus. So I think the last time we had a season opener that had that much hype, it didn't really live up to it, was the Florida State-Alabama game in Atlanta to open the 2017 season. I don't think they were 1-2, but they were pretty close.
I believe it was 1-3, Stewart.
Okay, yeah. I remember the Peach Bowl folks were advertising it as the greatest opener of all time. It's going to be huge. I have personally a little skeptical that Ohio State can just reload after they lost so many. I mean, the core of that team was a bunch of seniors, not just really good players, but guys that had been there for 4 years. There's still plenty of talent there, but that is a lot of leadership to walk out the door.
Yeah, the only reason I remember that was the year Alabama literally snuck into the playoffs by not going to the SEC game. I think they lost to Auburn at the end of the year, and Alabama fans were trying to sell the fact that they beat the number 3 team in the country when the season began, even though I don't know if Florida State even had a winning record that year.
I think they were 6-6. That was the Jimbo Fisher, escape at the end of the season. But I just remember that game as Alabama broke Florida State's program. They were doing so well up until that, and that was the beginning of a 4 or 5 year run of just total mediocrity. Yeah,
and that was before the current run of just abject disaster. Stewart, great to talk to you here on this cold February day. We appreciate it. You warmed our thoughts up thinking about the upcoming college football season. Stewart Mandel from The Athletic starting it all off for us. We have a lot to do here on a Wednesday afternoon in February. It is Lincoln's birthday, even though they don't celebrate anymore. How about this? Ari Wasserman versus Brad. Betting lines are all over the place on this one. We haven't heard from Danny Sheridan yet. Who is the favorite? Andy Staples will give us his view of it. He's a partner of Ari Wasserman. And the shooter joins us later to preview the night in college basketball.
You're listening to the Paul Finebaum Show podcast.
We continue, more phone calls, and let's start with Joe in Texas. Hello, Joe.
Hey, how you doing, Paul?
We are doing great.
I'm just a struggling Dallas sports fan and looking for a little bit of hope.
Let me forward you to Stephen A. Smith's phone, okay? What kind of hope are you looking for?
Questions if we're going to still have a team here, if they're looking to move us to Vegas, all kind of conspiracy theories going on. And then, of course, the Cowboys, you really got no hope with Jerry Jones. So.
Yeah, I mean, every time you think that Jerry may be about to accidentally make a good decision, he makes an even dumber one.
Yeah, it's just been a struggle. I sure do enjoy your show. Just a sad fan right now.
Well, I appreciate you calling. Thank you very, very much. Speaking of a sad fan, Judge John is next.
Hey, Paul. Thanks for taking my call. I really had a problem last night. The medical people showed up at my house and tried to take my foot out of my mouth, but they weren't successful. I wanted to ask you, Paul, after I explained my idea that we should have financial advisors for young athletes, and I explained it wasn't taking any rights away from the athletes. If they had a financial
Hey, John, if
advisor,
I could interrupt you for 1 second, can I give you a heads up here on something?
Sure.
You are a caller to the show, and we appreciate that. But what you said in the past may have been law in whatever county you lived in, but it's not the law on this show. So we really don't need to litigate every sentence that you utter the next day, do we, Randy? Can we just have a a call today as opposed to a regurgitation of your call yesterday? Would that be a problem?
Not a bit, but I would like for you to comment.
Well, I don't have any comment.
All right. Well, okay. Maybe Johnny B or High Man will. But anyway, I wanted to tell you a little bit about my background.
Okay.
My name
I'm all
is John
ears.
A. Prince. Okay. I was born April 20, 1943. That happened to be Hitler's birthday. My father was a graduate of Princeton Theological Seminary, and my mother was a daughter of a missionary to Egypt. And they had learned about the Holocaust and the slaying of the Jews. And in honor of the dead Jews, they named me Abraham. They named me Abraham. And
Your
my
name is
uncle
your
thought I
name
did.
is your name is Abraham.
John Abraham Turnbull, yes.
Okay, and that's because you were born on
Hitler's birthday.
Hitler's birthday.
Yeah, Mother and Daddy wanted me to be an honor for the dead Jewish people.
So John, the day you were born, we weren't even aware of the Holocaust. Are you aware? Do you realize that?
My mother and Daddy were.
Well, no. I mean, listen, there were rumors of the Holocaust in 1943, but it wasn't until we discovered it later did we have any clear understanding. So you're trying to tell me that you were given the name Abraham because you were born on Hitler's birthday, and there was some connection to the Holocaust. Is that correct?
I just know that to be true.
I don't. I don't. So when were you? What date were you born on?
April 20, 1943.
Yeah. Do you realize that? Do you realize that on April 20th, 1943, that the Americans had not even invaded Normandy yet?
Sure, I did.
Okay.
I'm a history buff.
Well, I mean,
But
obviously
anyway,
you are, but I think you're making this part of the history up.
Well, you're full of shit.
What's that?
Excuse my language.
What do you say?
But in any event,
Okay.
when
But
I went
you know what? I think you are too, but I'm just not allowed to say what you just got through saying because I have a
Okay, well,
commitment to
that
my
come on,
bosses to use good language on
Anyway.
this show.
All right. Well, let me just tell you what I had to do when I went to get a passport.
Okay.
I wrote to Johnstown, Pennsylvania, to get my birth certificate, and on that birth certificate it said Abraham Turnbull, just Abraham. And so I had been going by John A. Turnbull for years during my career, and I ended up having to file a petition in General Sessions Court to change my name to John Abraham Turnbull so I could get a passport.
I don't know, John. I'm so pleased to hear that.
One other thing that I want to mention
Okay.
is that if the offensive line of Kansas City had played anywhere near good, it would have been a different game because they allowed the Philadelphia Eagles to sack Mahomes, I believe, 6 times in the first half. And at other times he wasn't sacked. He was ending up getting rushed where he couldn't throw.
Okay.
And he didn't start throwing accurately until the fourth
That's
quarter
great.
when they gave up their rush.
Good.
And he did well.
Thank you,
in the
Jay. By the way, in the late 30s and early 40s, there were rumors of the Holocaust. Most people had pretty good indications, but it wasn't until probably 44 into 45 that they fully discovered them. And quite frankly, if I remember my history correctly, some of the reason, they were trying to cover up. Part of the approach was trying to cover up their capturing of all the millions of people. Anyway, I have to just call total BS on the judge there. You agree? Yes. I mean, they're simply. I mean, he just literally makes stuff up every time he calls in. Now he's got both feet in his mouth. I was going to ask the judge to be the referee during the Ari Wasserman, Brad from Macon, but we are now trying to get somebody more qualified. So we've asked AC from Bangladesh. We'll take a short break. We are coming right back.
You're listening to the Paul Finebaum Show podcast.
So let's improve the quality of calls here after Judge John.
Is it possible?
Yes, it is. Swamp Dog is up next.
Yay!
Hey, Mr. Paul, thank you for taking my call. I'm very grateful for it. Thank
Doggy.
you very much. Well, I just wanted to talk about the show itself for a minute, if I
Please.
can. It's a sports show, and in my opinion, it's the best one on TV. But it's not only a sports show; it's a people show.
Thank you.
And that's really what attracts me to it. The way that y'all handle it, you, the producers, y'all let people talk about whatever they want to talk about, unless they get out of line somewhere. But people do that. And you got to censor that. But most of the time, you just let people talk about what they want to talk about. And I'm looking forward to Wasserman and Brad today. That's something you wouldn't see on any
I
other
want you to tell me this, dog. Who do you like in the tilt?
I think Brad's got a lot of good points that he can make. I think he's a Georgia man like I am too. So
we just got the odds in. Wasserman is a pretty heavy favorite.
Is he? Well, he's a professional.
Yeah.
Brad's not a professional. I get that. I understand that part. But I wanted to ask you about something else too. When football season's gone, and like I say, you let people talk about what they talk about. I told you that my two passions in life really is college football and music, and I think you're in that. You love talking about music. I tried to get a line past you the other day, Bob Seger line, and you nailed it before I even got the words out of my mouth.
Well, the problem is it's one of my favorite songs. That's why I knew it so well.
Okay, well, all right, that's fine. But I-Man is a guy that I like to listen to you and him talk about music. It's the same kind of stuff that I talk about, when I talk about music.
Okay, dog.
And
so let me ask you this question: if we were doing the Finebaum Show Festival, we rent out a stadium and Sanford Stadium, and I give you we need 3 or 4 groups. Who are you going to book in?
Groups?
Yeah, groups, individuals, anybody you want.
From I would go with Leonard Skinner, Pink Floyd, the Eagles, and I don't know, maybe Marshall Tucker.
Marshall Tucker,
Charles
man.
James.
Tucker boys.
Yeah, well, that's me.
By the way, that's a good group.
Yeah. Well, Led Zeppelin. Let me throw them in there.
Zeppelin.
There's a movie that's coming about them too, and as far as individuals, I like Bob Dylan. He's a tremendous. He's the Willie Nelson of rock and roll, in my opinion. He writes everything for everybody. But I would love to talk to I-Man. If you could get, I don't know. I know you can't give people's numbers out and everything, but I just believe that I would have a real fun conversation with I-Man. I know what he's going through, and I pray for him every day. But he's one of my favorites, and I would love to be able to talk to him about music because we're on the same page. But I don't know I don't know his number.
I'll tell you what, dog. We can. Let me put you on hold, and maybe the guys can tell you how you can communicate with I-Man. How about that? It's quite a concert he's got there. Pink Floyd, Zeppelin, Skinner, and the Tucker boys from where are they from? Spartanburg. Yeah, Spartanburg. Got a little bit of everything there. That's some Southern fried rock right there, with a little bit of Pink Floyd and Zeppelin thrown in for. I wouldn't mind seeing Zeppelin one more time. Ari versus Brad coming up here in just a few minutes. This is a poster that you can get. Man, that was put out by On3, wasn't it? Man, that is. We were joking earlier. Ari looks like one of those up and coming WWE wrestlers. Not on the Raw, but like AAA, whatever they call that.
Brad looks like a crew chief for NASCAR.
Brad does look like he's got he's got the Ricky Rudd crew from the 80s. Let's continue with more phone calls. Braxton in calling. Hello, Braxton.
Hey, what's up, Paul?
Hey, Braxton.
How are you doing today?
We're doing great, thank you.
So, Paul, I'm feeling good. Anyways, Paul, Tennessee basketball last night, not too happy with the results.
No, not at all.
Tennessee played a sloppy game, and that's the truth. Anyways, Paul, it was nice to hear Swamp Dog. That was a great call, one of the best in a while.
Yeah, that was great.
Anyways, Paul, let me just, for a minute, ask a few things here. Paul, who do you think is the best Tennessee player of all time in college football?
I know the most obvious answer is Peyton Manning, but I'm trying to think. Who was that guy? Was it Doug Atkins?
Yep.
You ever heard of him?
I have.
I think Doug Atkins would be in the consideration. Peyton would definitely be. Who would you put on your list?
Peyton, number one. I don't know who else. I mean, Peyton's good. I mean, I might consider Dylan Sampson top 10, maybe 10 or so. I know that sounds crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyways, Paul, just real quick, what do you think about Tennessee's baseball season this year? And, Paul, who do you... I want to do this. Who do you think's the best phone answer? I want to know. I want to know who's your favorite, Paul.
My favorite caller?
Well, caller or like, the people who pick up the phone, like Daniel, Randy, all those guys.
Well, I mean, listen, we are a team here. We don't do individual. One person is everyone.
That's what I was
We're all
looking
the
for,
same.
Paul. Good
All
job.
right. Yeah. Hey, thanks. I mean, nobody is stand alone on this show.
No man's on the island.
I mean, other than the fact that what's the name of the show? Other than that, just that's just we needed a name, so we got a letter from everybody on the show and we stuck it in there and came out. Paul, yeah. Bob is in Fort Worth. Hey, Bob.
Good afternoon, Paul.
Good afternoon, Bob.
Hey, you made it all over the little tidbits of Google and AL.com and everything. Congratulations on the new digs.
Yeah, thank you. I was, I'm not acting like I don't realize that people like any kind of gossip, but I was a little surprised by all the attention. But thank you anyway.
Well, they showed a picture of the inside for you. That's a pretty swanky outfit. All them bedrooms, you gonna let Randy come move in with you?
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. We're actually the whole staff will be living there in the future. Yeah, we're like the Survivor show. We'll all be there. Cameras will be on in every room.
I ain't gonna mention no numbers, but looks to me like you got a heck of a deal.
Yeah, we're real happy with the deal. Yeah, for those anyway, I'm sure most people can figure out what's going on here, but it is always weird when you. I've been in the media a long time. I'm never surprised by how low the media will go in terms of trying to get a click.
Well, yeah. Was that your idea, or was that
No. Here's the deal, Bob. And I tried to warn my lovely wife. I said, remember something, when you purchase a home, it is a public record. She said, well, yeah, but it's not going to get out. I said, well, it very well could. So it did, and now it's all over the place.
I seen it on like 3 or 4 media posts today, and
yeah.
And just on my Google, you get that front page of Google and on your tablets and stuff, and little tidbits, and you've been on there 3 or 4 times.
Yeah,
and I thought
that's
I'm
really, really happy to be to be in that realm.
Well, that's like I said. And of course they give all the numbers and everything.
Oh, sure.
And,
yeah, never believe the media, Bob.
And I thought, for what it is and what you give for it, you got yourself a heck of a deal, I think.
Yeah, we actually are. We're really happy with it. Anything? You ever bought a house, Bob?
Oh yeah, several.
This is the third house I've had, and that's not really many for somebody that's been around. And I never really liked any of the three. I walked in with my wife, and I just kind of killed time while she was buying it.
Well, that's kind of what I do. Walk in, you know.
I said, don't you think this is a little bit big for two people? She said, we have a dog.
Well,
I said, okay.
Yeah, the dog, he
dog
can
needs,
run forever.
Dog needs 4 rooms, doesn't he?
Well, I just thought I'd call and give you a blast.
Listen, I appreciate you mentioning that, and you be well, yeah. We'll take a short break. We are back. The big matchup is straight ahead, 20 minutes away.
You're listening to the Paul Finebaum Show podcast.
And we are 12 minutes away from the biggest event of the new year on the Finebaum Show. Ari Wasserman and who's the other guy? Brad from Macon. Squirrel has arrived.
Speaking of Brad, he called me. A few minutes ago, wanting some advice. So I can't wait till the matchup at the top of the hour. But you know, Judge John, it's been just mesmerizing. I mean, just fascinating watching his calls the past few days. He's not the first person to come on here and thinks he's just going to, mesmerize the crowd with his comments, and then it ends up backfiring on him. But, when it does happen to people, it's always fascinating to watch. But you know what the main problem was with his – you didn't discuss his calls. He keeps coming back to that. Don't you notice that? Like yesterday, the problem, what pissed him off was you didn't discuss his call from Monday. Right. That's why he had to rehash it again yesterday, and then it backfired. And again, he wanted you to discuss it again today. And people just need to realize they need just to come on here and make a call and not be so scripted and expect, like you said, it to be the topic of the conversation for that day.
Squirrel, let me ask you, because I feel like you're one of the best observers, maybe the best of anybody on this show. What do you think happens to people like that?
Well, they come on here thinking it's all going to be glory, and the next thing you know, they're going to be famous, and then go down to the corner store and to the bar and point to the screen and say, "Hey, come listen to me on there." But what they don't realize is that when you come on here, you open yourself up for exactly what went down with Judge John, and he everything he got, he earned it. I mean, his calls have become very tiresome, and they were pony league. They weren't in the spirit of this Finebaum Show, or what started the Finebaum Show years ago. And then even you and I, people think that they accuse you of pandering to me and things of that nature. Me and you've gone through some rough times. There was times when I remember one time I called in, and I didn't even get hardly one sentence out. And you said, you just hung up on me. You said, "Squirrel, I'm just not in the mood to listen to your crap today." And so all of us have to go through the rough times. But some of these pony leaguers, these new callers, they think it's just all glory, man. They just can't handle the friction. But it's fun to see them catch it.
Well, listen, I appreciate that. And by the way, you do know you're responsible for us losing our best caller.
Well, I was going to ask you, does the new house have a pool?
It does not.
It does not have. Does it have a big garden?
It does have a garden. Yes.
Does it have like an outside house? My question is there room for Jim? Is there room for Jim on
there
this
is room. I mean, the downstairs is. We could find him a spot there.
Can you? I was going to say maybe you can employ him as the pool boy, put him in charge of that, keeping it clean, or if there's a small garden, you can, like I said, he can be a gardener or something of that nature. But
there you go again, Squirrel. Because we had him back in the fold until you said whatever you did a couple of days ago.
I didn't say anything.
Well, whatever you said, I did not dispute it. Okay.
Well, once again, I just celebrated the gentleman's birthday. We all have birthdays. And I just celebrated Dickie's birthday. And if he's upset, I'm sorry. I wish he would come back because these pony leaguers are wearing me out. Look, thanks for taking my call. Enjoyed the show. Can't wait for the next 3 hours. Aloha.
Thank you very much. There you go. You kind of a drive-by attack, and Johnny B also participated in that. Good afternoon.
Ladies and gentlemen, prepare for the brawl on Paul. Fighting from the blue corner, we have Ari Wasserman from On 3. A portly gentleman with a strong SEC hate, waiting in at about 2:35. In the red corner, fighting for the fall Finebaum show, we've got Bad Brad from Macon, 190 pounds of bacon, hot popping and gonna burn you up. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble.
That was pretty good. We need to bring him back. Jamie is in Chattanooga. Hello, Jamie.
Hey, Paul. How are you, buddy?
We are doing great.
I just want to call and convey, I hadn't called in a while, and from a little old boy from Memphis, I can adapt because I was from Florence, Alabama, you remember?
Oh, yeah.
That with all of your hard work and tutelage at UT, Birmingham Post-Herald, Jocks, ESPN come calling, and to be able to buy a home and come back home where it's your home, away from home, and do what you have done, there's no one prouder of you than me because it's a progression in life. It's not a Johnny-come-lately. And
Jamie,
I just wanted to
I can't thank you enough. I'm afraid we're about to run out of time, but that really means a great deal. It's coming up next. Woo! Ari versus Brad.